Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to Master English with Tim, the podcast where Tim helps you to master English in depth and detail. I'm Tim, and I have been an English teacher since 2005, almost 19 years. In those 19 years, I have seen one thing that most or even almost all students do not do enough of, and that they need to do more. That thing that they need to do more is to learn more uses of or meanings of words. Most English words have more than one meaning, and knowing several meanings of words is crucial for understanding what people say, for being able to read, and for being able to talk and write. That's why I'm going to focus on the multiple meanings of 10 different words in this week's episode. The words that I chose are from the NGSL, or New General Service List, which is a list of the 2,800 most used words in English, mainly from written English. In other words, if you know the words of the NGSL and their many meanings well, you will be able to understand formal English better, whether it is in writing or speech, and you will be able to express yourself in a more educated, serious-sounding way. In just a second, I'm going to start reading words from the NGSL, along with their definitions and examples. Before I do that, I want to point out two things. The first is that if you like the content in this episode, then you can learn more similar content from episode 2, where I also talk about NGSL words and multiple meanings. It's just a different block of words that I talk about in episode 2. The second thing that I want to point out to you is that as you listen, you should try to listen for the words that are used in combination with the target words. For example, if our target word is threat, then you will hear combinations like make a threat, or ignore a threat, or major threat. This really does require you to pay some serious attention if you want to get the most out of this episode, because some of these words will be before the target word. Sometimes they will be after the target word, and there's no way to really predict that. So, when you know lots of these combinations like make a threat or major threat, it makes it easier to express exactly what you mean very quickly. Knowing which words are used together also makes it easier to understand speech and writing, because when you hear this or that word, it's easier to quickly predict what the next word will be, which means you don't need to spend as much energy on listening closely to every word and every sound and putting all of the things together. You already have an idea of what the person is going to say or write. Okay, let's do our first word. It's word number 1341, experiment. It has 3 meanings. First definition: a series of controlled and observed actions or steps that are used to see if something is true or not. So this is a definition from science. We have 5 examples. 1. In biology class, we carried out an experiment to see which types of plant food make plants grow the fastest. 2. We are going to do an experiment tomorrow in the chemistry lab using several different elements. 3. The experiment demonstrated that the new medicine was significantly more effective than most previous ones. 4. We've learned a lot about genetics since the early experiments in this field made in the 1850s and 1860s. 5th and last example: do you think animal experiments are always wrong? Okay, second definition: to use someone or something as part of an experiment. This is to experiment on someone or on something. 2 examples. 1. Many people say it's always wrong to experiment on animals, but others say that it can give us valuable information and that we should continue to experiment on animals in the future. Second and last example. The psychologists experimented on 1,000 people of the same age and sex to see how they reacted to stressful situations while taking or not taking drug X. Third definition. And last, to use something to see what results it gives. This is experiment with. 3 examples. 1. He experimented with combinations of different ingredients until he found the one that tasted best. 2. The Formula One driver experimented with different types of tires, softer and harder ones, and finally found the one he liked best. Third and last example. Our company is experimenting with letting people work from home to see how it affects productivity. Okay, next word. This is word number 1342 from the NGSL, consideration. So remember, this is 1342 out of 2,800. So again, consideration, 1342, 4 definitions. First definition, the act of thinking about an action to help you decide if you want to do it or not. This is usually used in the expression under consideration. 3 examples. 1. The new subway line is still under consideration. A final decision on whether it will be built will be made next month. 2. The budget increase is under consideration. We need to discuss it more before we decide to approve it or not. Third and last, your idea for letting workers work from home 2 days a week is under serious consideration. It sounds like a good idea, but we need to think about the details first. Second definition, factors which influence whether you will do something or not. 3 examples. 1. Be careful with him. From what I have seen, ethics are never a consideration in his decisions. 2. She's extremely rich, so money was not a consideration when she was deciding which car to buy. Third and last example. Profit is the main consideration when making business decisions. Okay, third definition. To use as a factor when making a decision. This is in the expression take into consideration. 5 examples. 1. I know he said some bad things to you, but take into consideration that he has been under a huge amount of stress recently. 2. She always takes quality into consideration before price when making a major purchase. 3. You didn't take my needs or my feelings into consideration when you decided to have a party in our house the night before I had to take an exam. 4. Please take into consideration that I work at night and wake up late when you decide which time of day you want to call me. 5th and last, always take the weather into consideration when you choose which clothes to wear. 4th and last definition, the ability to understand others' needs and wishes and then do what is necessary to satisfy those needs or wishes. 4 examples. 1. She showed a lot of consideration for me when I was sick. She washed the dishes for me, cleaned my house, and cooked for me. 2. Thank you for the consideration that you showed me when my mother was sick. It meant a lot to me that you called me every couple of days to see how I was doing. 3. We should show extra consideration and respect to old people. 4th and last, your friends will leave you if you don't show them more consideration. Next word. 1343, strange. Only one definition. So first and only definition, very unusual and surprising. 6 examples. 1. Who is that strange guy talking to himself over there in the corner? 2. He always wears strange combinations of colors together, like brown and pink or yellow and gray. 3. It seems strange to eat insects, but they are the food of the future. 4. There was a strange smell in the hotel, but I had to get used to it because I didn't have money to stay in a nicer place. 5. He has strange taste in movies. He's almost 40 years old, but likes watching kids' movies and cartoons. 6th and last, I had a strange dream last night. My cat explained to me why I needed to exercise more. Next word, 1344, code with 3 definitions. First definition, a system of letters, numbers, and symbols that are used to have private or secret communications with another person. 4 examples. 1. They did all their communication using a secret code that only they understood. 2. We need to develop a more complex code so the enemy doesn't understand our communications. 3. The team of mathematicians worked around the clock to crack the enemy's code. After they cracked the code, they were able to understand a large part of the enemy's communication. Fourth and last, this text appears to be written in a kind of code. I can't understand a single letter of it. That's not a code, it's written in Chinese. Second definition, a series of letters, numbers, and symbols that you need to write in order to use a computer. 3 examples. 1. I opened my computer, entered my code, and began to work. 2. Don't tell anyone the code you use to take out cash with your debit card. Third and last, your browser stores the codes for all the websites you use. Third and last definition of code, to program a computer. So, 4 examples. 1. He hopes that learning to code will help him to get a better paying job. 2. It's easier to learn to code when you're young, but that doesn't mean it's too late to do it now. 3. She really knows a lot about computers and IT and can even code in several different languages. Fourth and last, because it's my job to code, I can work from anywhere. I usually move to a new country every 3 months. Next word, 1345, possibly, 1 definition. First and last definition, maybe. So maybe is just a synonym of possibly. 7 examples. 1. Will it rain today? Possibly. The sky's pretty cloudy, but I can also see the sun. 2. Will the economy grow next year? Possibly. Economists don't agree on this question. 3. Will the president be reelected? Possibly. He seems to have a lot of support now, but things can change quickly. 4. She said she loves me. Did she tell me the truth? Well, possibly. 5. This is possibly the best barbecue I've ever had. It's really good. 6. This is possibly the ugliest weather I've ever seen. It's been raining for days. I just wish it would stop. 7th and last. He's possibly the most educated and well-traveled person I've ever met. Next word, 1346. Threat. 2 definitions. First definition, someone or something which is dangerous and causes harm or damage, or may cause harm or damage in the future. 10 examples. 1. Cybercrime and hacking are serious threats to the security of every person's bank account. 2. She doesn't like me because my way of thinking is a threat to hers. 3. Online publishing is a serious threat to books and newspapers. 4. He is a really nice guy when he is sober, but he becomes a threat whenever he drinks alcohol. 5. When a large company sees that a small company poses a threat, the larger company can eliminate or neutralize the threat by simply buying the smaller one. 6. He is big and strong and also looks very serious, but he's only a threat if you cause him problems. 7. Climate change is a major threat to the future of our planet. 8. When I haven't slept all night, everyone and everything seems like a threat. 9. Do you think artificial intelligence is a threat to your job? 10. What do you think is the biggest threat to humanity? Second and last definition. Words or actions that indicate that you can plan to hurt others. 4 examples. 1. The police came to question her after she made a threat against her former boss on social media. 2. The terrorist group published a threat online. The government was unsure whether it should take the threat seriously or not. 3. He regularly issues threats against his neighbors that he will burn down their houses, steal their cars, and so on. It's just a question of time before he does something crazy. 4th and last. If you react to every threat, you will waste your energy. On the other hand, if you ignore threats, you may be putting yourself in danger. Next word, 1347, accident. 2 definitions. First definition, a bad event which happens and which was not planned. 8 examples. 1. Traffic was stopped by a 3-car accident on the road. The accident was caused by extremely heavy rain. Fortunately, no one was seriously hurt. 2. It was an accident. I didn't mean to drop and break your glass. 3. Every year, thousands of deadly accidents are caused by people using their phones while driving. 4. I'm sorry, the message I sent to you was not for you. I sent it to you by accident. 5. I put salt instead of sugar in my tea by accident. 6. I was involved in a minor traffic accident last week. 7. At the entrance to the factory, there's a piece of paper showing the number of days since the last accident. 8th and last. While he was driving, a tree fell in the road in front of him. He stopped his car less than a meter away from it. He barely avoided, or narrowly avoided, an accident. 2nd and last definition. Something which exists and which was not created on purpose or intentionally. 3 examples. 1. People who don't believe in God think that the universe is an accident. 2. I was born exactly 9 months after my parents' wedding, so I'm pretty sure I'm an accident, but a happy one. So, warning, this meaning obviously can be very offensive if we're talking about people, but yes, it is used in that sense. 3rd and last, it was no accident of fate that you and I met that day. Next word, 1348, impossible. 2 definitions. First definition, not possible. 6 examples. 1. It's impossible to sleep because of the neighbors making noise at all hours of the night. 2. Because it's impossible to sleep, it's almost impossible to work the next day. Because it's almost impossible to work the next day, it will soon be impossible to earn money. So please stop making so much noise. 3. In my dreams, I can do impossible things like fly. 4. Yesterday's math test was completely impossible. I'm sure I got a terrible grade on it. 5. He aimed to do the impossible, run a marathon in less than 2 hours, and he failed. 6th and last, what seemed impossible in the 1970s, that everyone would have not just one but several computers, is now a reality. 2nd and last definition, used to talk about a person who demands too much or is extremely difficult to communicate with. 2 examples. 1. Little children can be impossible 1 minute, screaming and crying and hitting people and throwing things 1 minute, and sweet and fun again the next. 2nd and last. You ask me to listen to you talk about yourself and your problems for hours and hours in the middle of the night, and at the end of the talk you get angry at me for not thanking you for calling me. You're completely impossible. Next word, 1349, revenue. 1 definition. First and last definition, money that a business receives when it sells its goods or services. 7 examples. 1. Revenue is all of the money that a person or business earns. For example, if I buy some running shoes for $40 and sell them for $100, I have $100 of revenue. Of those $100 of revenue, 60 of them are profit. Another word for revenue is income. 2. She earns a lot of passive revenue by renting electric bicycles to tourists. 3. After being out of work for almost a year, it's nice to have a job and a steady or stable revenue again. 4. It's important to have a reliable stream of revenue if you want to save money. 5. Our company earned $1 million in revenue last year, of which 25% was profit. 6. The toy company's revenue increases every year at Christmas time. 7th and last, revenue shrank because of lower demand. Last word, 1350, enable. 2 definitions. First definition, to make it possible for someone to do something. 5 examples. 1. Having a credit card enables you to buy things now and pay for them later. It also enables you to avoid the dangers associated with carrying cash. 2. Faster train service will enable us to reduce air pollution compared to flying, and also to reach other cities more quickly and comfortably. 3. Knowing another language enables you to communicate with people from other countries. 4. Being able to read enables us to hear the ideas of people who live far away or died long ago. Fifth and last, the invention of shoes enabled people to walk much longer distances than before and to walk in places that previously had been too dangerous to walk in. Second and last definition, to give someone permission to do something. This has to do with laws or rules. Two examples. 1. The new law enables citizens to pay no taxes on the first $10,000 that they invest in the stock market. Second and last, the company's new rules enables workers to work from home up to 10 days per month. Okay, that's all. That's all the 10 words and many definitions. And I think you've probably noticed that usually the definitions are actually pretty similar to each other. That was definitely the case today. That's not always the case, but generally it is. So, in any case, thanks a lot, everyone, for listening, and we will meet up again next Monday.